Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown. I'm pleased to have as my co-host well-known radio sports personality Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco. And today's show is going to be special because we're going to have one of the all-time basketball greats, Attles, used to play for the Warriors. And that'll be kind of fun. We'll talk about how basketball's changed over a number of years. Also get into a couple of things like safety in sports. You know, Aroldis Chapman getting hit in the head. What's going to happen for him going forward, and what can they do now for protecting the pitchers? Are they going to make them wear helmets? How about Warren Buffett's $1 billion bet about NCAA tournament? I think he saved his $1 billion. And the better the team does on the NCAA court during the final, Sweet 16, the worse it is financially for them in the short term. So we'll talk about that and find out why. Maybe get into a little bit of Yasiel Puig. What are his antics going to look like this year? Then there was Emmanuel Sanders' agent, a guy named Steve Weinberg, who used some kind of uncouth tactics during his negotiation with a couple of teams. And we'll get into that and see if that's a good long-term strategy, or is that going to hurt Emmanuel Sanders or Steve Weinberg in the future. The NFL is still looking to move the extra point back to the 25-yard line. I think it's a great idea, make for more exciting football. A couple months ago, LeBron puts up 61 points against the Bobcats. What else is left for him for his legacy? If you have a question, email Edward at sportsecon101.com. We'll try to answer it on the air. And this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 8%, secured by San Francisco Bay Area real estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to get right into it right now. Okay. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn.
Good if it goes.
And Bruce McGowan.
It is good.
It is good. And we are on the phone here with former NBA player Attles, who, if I remember correctly, Al, you would tell people that between you and Chamberlain, you scored 117 points that night.
Well, I also tell them if they can divide 117 by 2, I'm pretty darn good.
Yeah. That's right, man. What was that, 1960?
You realize you got 100 of them, I'm not that good.
What was that, 1962? Is that right? Hershey, Pennsylvania against the Knicks?
Yeah, we couldn't get the arena in Philadelphia, so they went up to Hershey, Pennsylvania. That's where we used to have our training camp, so that's why we
And unbelievably enough, a lot of the major newspapers did not send their main guys for that game. I think you guys you just played a game or something like that, and then
Will was living in New York at the time, and he had to come in. But what they would do is they would, send out a reporter or something, and he would do the game or whatever. But it was a different league back then. It was only 8 teams in the league, but we traveled all over the country. But it was a lot different than this day, obviously.
Now you were coaching with the Warriors. You took over. I think it was in 1969-70, in the middle of the season. You were an assistant coach, and you were there, 13, 14 years, right, as the head coach?
Well, I just tried to stay out of harm's way, Mr. Neely.
Let the players play.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Neely came to me, he asked me if I would take it over. I told him absolutely not. I believe that I would tell him no, but as it turned out, I really had a fun time. But after 14 years, it was time to go.
well, I mean, 1975, you won the NBA championship, and I'm sure your coach's salary just spiked after that.
No, really, Mr. Neely, he did a good job, and he took care of me, and I was really happy to do it. But like I said, it was a different era, and one that we really appreciated that time. But we have to look ahead.
When you say different era, what specifically, or maybe I should say primarily, was most different compared to...
Back then, there were only 8 teams in the league, and so if there's only 8 teams in the league, that meant had injured for any sustained time, and you might not be on a team much longer because there were so many players available that they didn't have guaranteed contracts back then. So if you came to camp and was injured, I could
It's funny, whenever I think Al, my first exposure to Al Attles was listening to Bill King on the radio, and Al was along the sidelines, either as a player or as a coach. A lot of times he was watching. This is like 68, 69, towards the end of your playing career. And you'd hear this guy bellowing in the background with his deep voice. And Bill used to tell me years later, he'd say, people would come up to me and say, who is that guy, that crazy guy that's making all that noise during the game? It's driving me nuts. It was you, Al. You were very vocal.
One out of two, the crazy part was probably.
But you never got into fights with anybody necessarily on the court. But there was a time.
Oh, he got upset. I remember he got upset.
That's the story I wanted to talk about. That the fourth game of the NBA Finals in Washington, you had won the first three games. You're playing the favored Bulls back there. Early in the game, Mike Reardon attacks Rick Barry in an effort, literally attacked him physically in an effort to get him into a fight and get him thrown out of the game because they were desperate to get back in the series. And you went onto the court to try to get Reardon, and standing in the way was Wes Unseld, who's about 6'8", 275. So you decided, well, Wes is a good guy to go after. So you guys suddenly started going after. What was that like anyway? What happened in that situation?
Well, people have to understand, we were the underdogs, even though we had a better record than they did. We had home court advantage, but I guess they thought that they played in a tougher conference. So, my concern was with Rick. We were close with Rick. We were up 3-0, and I think if the Bullets had been given an opportunity in one game, they might have won 4 in a row. And there was no way that we were going to have a game that Rick Barry was going to get kicked out of. And I knew from the first jump ball what the strategy was, and I could see what was happening. I got out there, but I didn't get out there to fight anybody. I got out there to make sure nobody got Rick ejected from the game. And then, one guy pushed another guy, and next thing you got something going on.
Well, it reminds me of the guys who, they know that if someone else gets fouled, they take the foul, they're going to get number 6. So they're nowhere near the play, and they raise their hand so that the ref goes ahead and points them.
Interesting thing here is that Al got kicked out of this game, and I don't remember you ever being kicked out of a game, Al. And the biggest game in Warrior history, you had to watch the most of it on a little television set in the locker room.
Well, I talked to Richie Fowler when I left, and he but Manny Sokol actually apologized because he wasn't involved in it. And he said, but Richie decided to do it. And I said, well, the only thing I'm saying is that the players were coming after Rick. And I understood the thinking. The thinking was, if we get Rick Barry out of this game, they have a better chance to win because Rick was our big scoring our best players. And so I could see from the jump ball to get in the game what their theory was, and I wanted to make sure that Rick stayed in the game. It wasn't that important I was in the game. The most important thing is that Rick stayed in the game, and obviously he stayed in the game to win the game, so that was all that counted.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious. You talked about how you had home court advantage for that series, but if I remember it right, and I don't know, maybe this goes to maybe the respect factor, maybe you played with a chip on your shoulder, but the Coliseum had already rented out dates that
For ice
conflicted,
volleys.
for the ice volleys.
The ice volleys
that conflicted with the NBA Finals. So did you have to go to the Cow Palace?
But you also have to understand back then that they would tape the late games, and they would be on like 12 o'clock midnight. And I can remember people calling and said, well, don't talk about the game, don't tell the score because it's going to be on like 12 o'clock midnight or something like that. So that was just the way the league was. We had to understand it. So, the most important thing is we had 12 guys, a number of people in the Bay Area. The owner really cared about the team, and the most important thing is that we felt that we were as good as they were. And as it turned out, fortunately for us, we did have a home court
Hey, Al, I was going to ask you, what do you see as a big difference between when you played and playing now? Like, players being stronger, faster.
You have to be realistic, and I say this in all candor. Players who were playing when I played felt that they were better than the guys who came before them, just based on the way the game had progressed, the way players had worked, improve themselves, things like that. Why wouldn't that go on to every generation?
Yeah.
So, now, okay, I'll give you for instance, Paul Harris was a great player, one of the top 50 players. He never touched the basketball the last game of the season until training camp because he had a job, he did some other things. Now, he wasn't the only one. A number of people had a guy where I worked as a substitute teacher, during the offseason until school closed. Well, now these players, have to have, secondary jobs.
No, one year and they're done. Hey, Al, stay with us. We want to finish off that thought. We're going to go to our first commercial break here. Okay, the theme is Baseball Hall of Famers, okay?
All right.
All right, here we go. Before entering the major leagues, this player was with the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro Leagues. When Bobby Thompson broke his leg, this opened the door for this future Hall of Famer. Who is that future? Who was that Hall of Famer, okay? The first 3 emails with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question. Before entering the major leagues, this player was with the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro Leagues. When Bobby Thompson broke his leg, this opened the door for this future Hall of Famer. Name that Hall of Famer. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with our guest, Al Attles.
Can't be Willie Mays, can it? Because Willie Mays was not with the Indianapolis Clowns. He was with the Minneapolis Millers.
Was he really?
Yeah, that's who he started. He may have played. No, he didn't play with the Clowns. He played with the Birmingham Black Barons.
Maybe, yeah,
Birmingham Black Barons, and then he played with the Indianapolis
Clowns,
right? With the Minneapolis Millers. He was hitting like 477 down there too.
Well,
crazy.
Because he came from Alabama.
Yeah, he's from Western Alabama. Well, I wonder how Willie's doing. Have you heard anything?
I have. I just when I was leaving spring training,
Just missed it.
he was just coming in, so I just missed him. And I know his eyesight is rapidly fading, and you really have to stand close to him for him to like hear what you have to say.
But that's
but I tell you what, but once you get him going, no stopping him. Man,
Al, do you know Willie pretty well?
Sure.
Yeah, isn't he a great? He's like you. He loves to tell stories.
Talk a lot. He called me. Yeah, I wanted a job as a player. But I tell you a great story about that. Now, when we first moved out here.
Why don't you save it for
the air?
We want to hear this one.
All right, so here
Al's got a million stories.
Okay, good. Here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn.
Blocked it!
And Bruce.
He did not. It was in. It was a goaltending.
Okay, when we went to our first commercial break, we asked this trivia question again. The theme is Baseball Hall of Famers. Before entering the major leagues, this player was with the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro Leagues. When Bobby Thompson broke his leg, this opened the door for this future Hall of Famer. Who was it?
Oh, I know it is. It was.
Come on.
It was.
Does our guest know? Al, do you know?
Ernie Banks.
It was not Ernie Banks.
No?
Not Ernie Banks.
Because I know Bobby Thompson went to Chicago and finished his career with the Chicago Cubs after leaving the Giants. But it wasn't Willie Mays.
It's definitely someone you are very familiar with.
Not Willie Mays.
Nope.
Satchel Paige?
No. You ready?
He's a giant.
No. Hank Aaron.
Hank
Aaron.
Oh,
Indianapolis
yes,
Clowns.
of course.
Okay, so we're on the phone here with Al Attles, and off air we were talking about your relationship with Willie Mays.
Well, I was playing. I guess I was playing at the time. We knew some friends from New York area, so he invited me down to dinner, and I got down to dinner, and he made a certain food, and I said, Willie, I have to tell you this. I said, growing up in Newark, great center fielders, one by the name of Duke Snyder, another by the name of Joe DiMaggio, a guy named Willie Mays. I said, since I was a big Brooklyn Dodger fan, I got to know Dodger, Joe Black, and some of the other guys.
So what do you say to that?
Well, 14, he let me eat, so that was something.
He probably got a big kick out of it. Did he ask you why you thought Duke Snider was the best player?
Well, just because I was a big Brooklyn.
Sure. Yeah, he was probably teasing you.
Clean at the end, so
Yeah.
I've done changed my thinking. But you're number one, let's go.
Well, it's funny. My dad was a big Brooklyn Dodgers fan, but he would actually say that Willie was the best center fielder.
I think most people acknowledge that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely.
And I met Jackie Robinson. And one of my biggest disappointments was I was working for a company called Restaurant Associates during for the summer, and he came down to the headquarters because he was working for Chock full of nuts. We had agreed to go to lunch with him, and he had another appointment, and I missed the lunch. And I used to go to Lenny Wilkins because Lenny Wilkins was his paper boy.
Really?
Well, yeah, so he used to tell me about delivering because those guys used to live in the neighborhood back then. He used to deliver the papers to them. And so, in addition to Lenny being such a great player, I also was upset at him being a good friend of Jackie.
Lenny Wilkins is a fascinating guy. I covered the Sonics the year they won the championship in the late '70s. You were mentioning how the Warriors had to reschedule dates, during the championship. Same thing with the Sonics were defending champions. They couldn't play in their home court at the Kingdom. They couldn't play at the Seattle Center Coliseum because they were both those places were taken by other events.
Snoopy on ice.
No, you know where they had to go? They had to go to Heck Edmondson Pavilion and play in the conference finals against the Lakers with Kareem and Magic his rookie year in front of 7,800 fans who jammed that place. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard of?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that happening today? When it's not, that's
No
a
way.
fantasy.
Like what we used to say was the NBA never became a professional league until you played all your home games in one place.
Yeah.
We had to farm out. It was even worse back when we used to farm out so many. That's why we scored 100 points up in
Hershey, Pennsylvania. Well, you guys played all your home games at the Cow Palace, the Oakland Coliseum, Civic Auditorium. Were there any Civic Auditorium downtown? Any other places you played in the Bay Area?
Oh yeah, we played Richmond Auditorium. We played, and Mr. Bewley was also looking for a place. Bewley moved the team at one time. We played every place. We played in St. Louis. We played in Reno. We played everywhere.
Wow.
And now they're going to be coming back to San Francisco.
Yeah, how about that? What do you think of that, by the way? Coming back to the city, if that works out, you like the idea of them moving back to San Francisco, or you think they should stay in Oakland?
You know what? I'm gonna disresolve myself.
Take the safe route. I don't blame you, man. Because you're an Oakland guy. You know what I mean? You live in Oakland.
But I've been with the Warriors.
Yeah.
People have to do what they have to do.
Sure.
We're still the Bay Area team. I hope people understand.
Attles, a guy who's number 16, is retired and is up in the Raptors.
Yeah.
Hey, as you observe these games and this league evolving and changing, what do you think about these one and done guys coming out of college? I mean, we're in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Guys like Andrew Wiggins of Kansas and other guys. That's it. One year, and then it's off to the NBA and being part of the Set for Life club.
Well, unfortunately, there's so many variables involved in that. Years ago, your class had to graduate before you could get to the NBA. And then some lawyers got involved and said that you can't prevent a player from coming in if he's capable of playing. Well, that's okay, except everybody who comes out of college early is not going to make the league. So what happens is there's a number of them who come out, don't make the league, don't finish school, and they go a different way, and that's unfortunate. So, but you can't dictate or mandate that a player stays in school. We wish that they would, because he will in most cases become a better player. But let's be honest, there's some players that are capable of making the NBA, after their freshman year, but not that many. But I guess every player that comes out early is lose, whether somebody tells him that or he believes it, and he's going to step in. And then if you think that many of them don't understand, they don't understand or realize how good the players are in the NBA. And just because you put some numbers up and do a good job where you were, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to transfer that into playing in the NBA. But you can't tell a person, now if you are going to be in the top 5 drafted, that's fine.
Yeah, but some of these guys though, they don't have the body yet. They're still maturing.
But they don't understand that because where they're playing, they're confident, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how good the players that they're going to have to deal with are when they get into the NBA. I mean, in general, for principle, the 12 or 15 play on an NBA team, if they can, transfer it back into college, will be one of the best college players in the country.
Yeah,
Sure.
no question. Hey, I want to just turn back the clock. Al, you went to an all-black school in the Deep South. You were raised in an integrated neighborhood in New Jersey in the 50s, in the 40s, and all of a sudden you're in the Deep South, which still had the Jim Crow laws in those days, and everything was kind of contained on campus. What was that experience like, going from a cosmopolitan, northeast area to a segregated kind of, different era where African Americans were still treated like second-class citizens? How did you adapt to that?
What was it, North Carolina A&T?
Yeah. Al?
You still with us, Al? He's thinking about that. Oh, there we go.
Al? Oh, you know what? I think we lost Al.
Okay, we'll get him back.
We'll get him back.
We'll get him back at the next segment.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties, that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay. Let's move on a little bit. Excuse me. So the NCAA, a team that is on the court, actually it's worse for them the better they do, because with all the traveling.
Oh
and all
yeah,
that.
sure.
So some of these teams.
They may have to spend more money. Of course, the athletic department isn't going to say that though, because it's prestige. It's great publicity.
In the short term, it costs a lot. But
sure.
so they're talking about here, like, okay, Wichita State. It said here they were #1 seed, which ordinarily nets an annual profit of $1 million, but lost money last year thanks to the Final Four run.
Wow.
So it can cost them quite a lot of money.
Think about any pro team, for instance, that goes into the NBA championships. Look at all the travel they have to be involved with. They must lose money. I was talking to.
Yeah, but the NBA picks up that.
Yeah, they do.
I mean,
but I was talking to somebody in the front office with an NBA club years ago, and they were saying, you wouldn't believe the cost. I mean, we're not really making much money. I don't know how much truth there is. This is a long time ago. We're not really making much money here, but it's more for the prestige because we're happy to go to the postseason.
Well, from the television standpoint, I'm currently on the road for CBS San Francisco, and we're following the Stanford Cardinal, and so.
You going back to Memphis?
I go to Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah. After having spent time in St. Louis, and I'll be honest with you, I'm really surprised they got by Kansas, but they did.
Yeah.
But the general manager and the news director, they got to check off the budget and greenlight Vern going to the next round.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. That's good. That's good programming.
It's good programming. It's good publicity, but still, I mean, that's cost of transportation, hotel,
Sure.
and whatever have to actually properly do.
They put you up
our
at
coverage.
that pretty nice hotel, don't they?
Yeah, airport hotel. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's got a bed, a bathroom, and a shower.
There you go.
Room service is okay.
Yeah.
I like that. He's got a humble spirit.
Yeah.
It's like the Olympics. A lot of the countries lose a lot of money
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
But you got to figure for the long term though, for Wichita State. When people have Kansas to think about
Great
going
for
to,
the program.
it really is great for the program. Okay, we are going to cut to our second commercial break. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get Al back on the phone, but
we'll make an attempt.
Yeah.
we'll make an attempt. Okay. Again, the theme is Baseball Hall of Famers. Who was the first pitcher to win the Cy Young Award in both the American and the National League? The first 3 emails with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. And by the way, it wasn't Cy Young, because you can't win an award. It wasn't invented yet. Okay. Email Edward@Sports Econ 101. The answer to this question: who was the first pitcher to win the Cy Young Award in both the American and National Leagues? And don't touch that dial. We're going to try to get Al back on the phone. And if we don't, we got some other good stuff to talk about. I want to talk about the sports agent, Steve Weinberg, with his client, Emmanuel Sanders, and the tactics that he used. Kind of interesting, a little underhanded according to some people.
That's a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a tease. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
I'm going to say Gaylord Perry.
You are correct.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, because
Spitballer himself, huh?
Yeah. Or the Giants traded him away. Said he's too old. 32 years old. Ended up pitching another 12 years. They got traded. Sam McDowell was drunk and washed up, and he's a friend. He's a friend of mine now on Facebook.
Oh, Sam?
Yeah. Oh, there's
Oh,
Al.
that could be him.
That's Al.
Al, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Ah,
Hey, he's back.
We lost you. Al was getting just ready to tell that story, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah. Okay. So we
Last thing we're talking about.
Oh, we were talking about going to North Carolina A&T and what that was like, what a culture shock it was. Because you were down there, weren't you down there when Martin Luther King was doing the lunch counter sayings and all that stuff? So you got to meet him, didn't you?
Oh, it's interesting. He would not allow him to speak on the campus because it was a state school, so he had to go over
Wow.
private girls, college, all get everybody in. So, but we had meetings on campus, and it was just very
Interesting. Well, talk about that.
Yeah,
And
talk
Al,
about
can
that
you
on
get
the
your
air.
mouth a little closer to the receiver too? We're having a tough time.
Okay, I'm in there.
Oh, that's
There
good.
you go.
There we
That's much
go.
better.
Much better, yeah.
Better?
Okay.
Yeah. Because Edward's been boosting up your volume over here. That happens once in a
And
while.
then sometimes you get too much of the air.
Yeah, it's weird to
on that.
you get this sort of like a shh in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna answer this question, and we'll tell the audience we got Al back.
You know, Al's son is a friend of mine on Facebook. I get a kick out of your son too. He's got some funny posts.
Well, see, that's part of the new age too.
Yeah.
He has it, but we don't have it.
Oh no.
But my grandson has it. My
Sure.
grandson has it. My son. If I have 4 grandchildren, they all have it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's very popular.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan.
Hello.
And we've cut to the second commercial break. We asked this trivia question. Again, the theme is Baseball Hall of Famers. Who was the first pitcher to win the Cy Young Award in both the American and National Leagues?
Brucey?
I know the answer, but I want to see if Al knows the answer because Al, this guy is a Bay Area. Well, he was kind of a Bay Area icon. He's in the Hall of Fame, and he pitched for the Giants. Can you? But he didn't win a Cy Young with the Giants.
No.
Can you guess who it is? I'll give you a hint. He threw a spitball.
Yeah. But did he claim to
Well, they didn't throw spitballs back then.
Oh no! Actually, he threw the grease ball. He threw the what was it called? The emery ball.
Oh, he helped me on that.
It's Gaylord Perry. Won it with Cleveland and won it with San Diego. And he always claimed I didn't put anything on the ball. And then of course later he admitted he did. Yeah.
They say that.
Yeah.
Well, not while they're playing.
Not when they're
No,
playing.
of course not.
Yeah.
Now, before we lost you, though, we were talking about your experience of going to a segregated school in the 50s in North Carolina. What was that like for a young kid, 18 years old, from the Northeast?
Well, furthest south I'd ever been was Philadelphia. Because my father went to high school in Philadelphia, then he moved to Newark. And so it was kind of a culture shock, only because of the nonsense that you heard about. And I didn't go my first year. I had a number of scholarships to Seton Hall, St. John, Manhattan, and a few other schools. But like a lot of young people back then, education was important, but wasn't important as important as playing sports. So I played basketball, football, and track. And so I really didn't have time to study. And when it came time to go to school, they told me that they wanted me to go to a prep school to get my grades up. And my high school coach, really a Jewish man who I'm very, very close to, he told me under no circumstances was I going to go to a prep school. Not that anything wrong with prep school, but he said you will not go to prep school.
Hey, Al?
We're losing Al again.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, if you get close to the mic, we can hear you better. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, and he told me, he said, you're going to go to a 4-year school, and that's the end of the discussion. And so I didn't go to the first year. I got a job in a department store making 75 cents an hour. And after that 1 year, I said, I don't care where I go to school, I'm getting out of this job. So I went down. Turns out it was the best experience I've ever had. I had 4 years. In fact, if they called me today and told me I could come back to school, but I'd have to play basketball. I could come back to school at this age, I'd go back right now.
Wow.
North Carolina A&T, was that good to you? Huh?
Well, because it was the school that they really cared about, making sure you graduated, which I did. And in fact, I still have many friends that I grew up with in college that we talk about. In fact, I talked to one today. And we, unfortunately, I'm out on the West Coast, supposed to come back east, but it was just a great experience. But the most important thing is, I tell people this all the time, I graduated in 4 years. That was when it was more important. And of course, the basketball came along later on, but it was such a great experience, and I really, really enjoyed it.
No, that was during the time that Martin Luther King was just becoming prominent. I guess he actually spoke on your campus or was not allowed to speak on the campus.
Well, it was only because it was a state school, and they thought, but a number of the students that I went to school with then, some of them worked for him later on.
as far as present day, let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. How fun has it been to watch Mark Jackson, the effect that he's had on this team, and Steph Curry? I mean, he makes circuit shots look like regular shots. Just your overall impressions of a team that looks like they're really, really on the rise, Coach.
Well, when you go out to watch them play, you come back with the feeling that everybody's on the same page. You have to understand that just many years ago, and I won't name specific players, but there was some selfishness because in cases players were paid based on how they scored, and that was just the way the league was back then. So if you were a big scorer, even though you didn't do much else, in fact, Will Chamberlain, who I was very, very close to, after his first year, was going to Globetrotters because he didn't like the selfishness that the players played with, and it was only because they wanted to, get a big contract. So the way they paid them was based on how they scored. Look for, if you were Guy Rogers was our roommate, okay, and Guy led the league behind Bob Cooley, and since Bob Cooley was the number one guy was two. We moved to San Francisco. One night we're in the room, and Guy said, I passed for 10 years, now I'm going to score for 10 years. And I said, Guy, you got to be the player you are. You can't. But we jokingly talked about it, but he was thinking more in terms of getting a bigger contract.
Yeah, you guys weren't making much money in those days. What, your average player was making $7 grand maybe a year?
We're so happy. You're so happy to be in the league.
Yeah.
It's a different era now, but I think if you look at the way the team is playing, what Mark is doing, I think it's terrific because, everybody seems to be on the right page with the team. If they play tonight, fine. If they don't play tonight, but they're still cheering and doing all those things. And it kind of reminds me, even though I don't like to make comparisons, the year we won, we had guys, if they didn't play a minute,
They didn't play a minute. I was going to say, Al was saying if they didn't play a minute, they wouldn't have a problem with it, right, Al?
Right.
well, exactly. And then what happened is, so what we always try to do, we always try to integrate them in on the team. But they knew that if they came to play every night, and that was our mantra. If you're not ready to play, even though you may not get in, the next night you might not be able to play. So if you look at the team now, that's exactly what's going on. Because there's some nights certain guys play a little bit more than others, certain guys don't play. They're always ready to play, and that's the most important thing in any team sport.
Well, Al, thank you so much for joining us today on Sports Econ 101.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing about Al, too. Vernon and I, once in a while when we go to the games, we'll sit with Al in his spot in the press box. And it's a real treat because we end up talking about the game that we're watching, but we also talk about just life in general. And Al's such a great storyteller, right, Vernon?
I'm surprised he's able to watch part of the game. I mean, because it seems like every 30 seconds somebody's coming up going,
Yeah.
"Hey, Coach, how you doing?" "Hey, I remember when you." I mean, it was one after the other.
Well, I tell them your memory's better than mine because I don't remember those.
All right.
Well, they've been very, very nice to me. We appreciate everything that they've done. I appreciate talking to you guys.
Great.
All right, Coach, just see you down the road.
Thanks, Al Attles. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
54 years with one organization. Or is it 55? 1959, 60. So 55 years with the same organization. That's got to be a record.
Yeah, player,
Yeah.
Coach, executive.
Yeah.
Wow, one would think. So back to the NCAA tournament. Warren Buffett's $1 billion. I guess he gets to keep it, huh?
I guess so. Gosh, right.
Who would have picked Mercer? You know.
I mean, I have seen more upsets.
Yeah, that's some great
More.
games.
I mean, just more surprises than any other NCAA tournament that I can remember. I mean, I said it on the air the other night. I mean, this is the wide open, anything can happen tournament.
Well, for Stanford, for instance, a team that
a
was
10 seed.
Yeah, 10 seed. It was like,
and they're going to play Dayton, an 11 seed. It's only happened once before.
Chances are they're going to get to at least the Elite Eight. They won't get by. I don't think they get by Florida, but you never know. It's a one and done. You can do it.
I mean, what do you think is so different this year?
Just a lot of.
I think
a lot of upsets.
I think the players are better.
Yeah.
And I think I think to a large degree, Bruce, I don't know about you, each one of these schools have a certain amount of scholarships to give, and there's a limit on it. And so now, and I think the system is built now so that the top programs, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, I mean, they can't. You no longer can you just bring in guys and stockpile them and have them sit. These kids want to play right away.
Yeah.
They don't care where it is.
That's the challenge of a coach, finding guys that he can plug in right away who are going to be able to contribute right away, like the kid at Wiggins with Kansas.
Andrew Wiggins, and these all these games are on TV now, so that's not an issue. You're going to get on, and if you have an opportunity to play, I don't know, 16, 26 minutes a game instead of having to wait 2 years before it's your turn.
And if you're a smaller school, though, how do you attract? I mean, that's why we were talking before. If you can somehow get to the big dance.
Well, think about Stanford too. They have the academic limitations. I mean, they have to get the best student athletes, and it's amazing they've done it so well in football and basketball. They used to be a powerhouse. They're starting to come back now.
I think the average person listening out there may not know this, but at schools like Stanford, Virginia, some of these other schools, your scholarship is predicated on you getting in. You got to get in first, academically, and then the scholarship is valid, as opposed to, I would say, maybe 90% of those other schools, hey, we want you, boom.
That's why I love going to Stanford games, because you talk to these kids, and it's like talking to these, they're almost like genius level
these
kids.
These guys are majoring in subjects I can't even define.
I remember talking to Andrew Luck, and I used to think, God, this guy is a sharp kid. I mean, he's not just a football savvy guy, but he knows what's going on in the world. It's really refreshing to see that.
I would love to get somebody on the record to explain how their scouting system works.
Yeah, because how do you find these guys? Because unlike the other schools that kind of pick and choose certain areas of the country, Stanford has to go everywhere to mine these kids because there's only a certain number of.
And again, they get them from. I mean, they get them from all over
everywhere.
Now, I have heard. Now, getting the second hand, I have heard that whether it's football or basketball, they have scouts. They take the whole United States, split up the region, and there's scouts in each part of the region, and then they go to the top schools, whether it's prep or Catholic schools or whatever, and they go give us a list of your top players that have a GPA of 3.5 and up, and they start from there and begin to whittle down.
That makes sense.
Baseball's completely different.
Yeah.
Right. Baseball's completely different.
In the sense that you're talking about Stanford's baseball, or
no, just in general. Like
to
the NBA,
to
the MLB.
I mean, you got to look
at high school and then you double A's, triple A.
Well, think about it nowadays in baseball. You got to look in the Caribbean. You got to look in Asia, even Australia now. I mean, it's like basketball's been that way for a while. It's interesting. The San Antonio Spurs have 8 different countries represented on their team. It's like truly an international team.
Now, I've heard if you do play collegiately, by the time you're done, it's equivalent to playing AA ball.
Yeah.
When you're ready to.
Yeah, that's true.
Professional.
You're talking about baseball now.
Yeah. Baseball.
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah.
Except with the aluminum bats.
Oh, I hate that. I hate those aluminum. Ding.
Ding. Well, speaking of that reminds me here because I was going to talk about Aroldis Chapman getting hit in the head.
Oh my gosh,
that was. He was lucky. He was lucky he wasn't killed.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there haven't been any.
Now he's got a plate in his head.
Another guy named Chapman.
Yeah.
Sam Chapman.
Yes, he did. Yeah, back in 1920, hit with a pitch and he died.
Died the next day.
Yeah, died the next day.
So I'm wondering what are they going to do safety wise?
Can't do anything. The only thing you could do is maybe the helmet's not going to cover the face though.
There is a cap that's in place, but nobody wants to wear it.
And plus,
nobody wants to wear it.
It doesn't protect the face. This is where he got hit was in the face. You'd have to wear a mask like they do, like the girls do in softball, in college softball.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to pitch with a mask on.
Too much bravado.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd even allow it.
What's amazing to me is that they forced major league coaches to wear helmets after that minor league coach got killed a couple years ago.
I know, but it's funny because I saw that, and the guy wasn't even wearing the correct one. The flap was open towards the batter.
Yeah,
it's like, then you got to put the.
The chances of you getting hit with a line drive down at third base, if you're not paying attention, geez.
Yeah, because pitcher, that's a little hard. You're off balance and all that. Okay, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break. Again, the theme is Baseball Hall of Famers. This Chicago Cub outfielder was all muscle, had a size 18 neck, and a size 6 shoe.
Oh, I know who this was.
Well, then giving the hint. And he had 191 RBIs in 1 year.
Yep.
The First 3 emails with the correct answer.
God, was he built like an upside down
Yeah.
pear?
Yeah,
He was about 5'6",
Wow.
5'7".
he wasn't that big.
5'7",
He was
maybe about 200 pounds.
very
Yeah.
tanky though.
Yeah.
Okay, the first 3 emails with the correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question: this Chicago Cub outfielder was all muscle, had an size 18 inch neck, size 6 shoe, and had 191 RBIs in 1 year. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be back with some closing comments.
And I think that was the record, isn't it? Hack Wilson.
Yeah, Hack Wilson.
Yeah, you know how he died? He just drank himself to death.
Oh.
Yeah, he was like 38 years old. Just,
Was that?
Damn.
Is
Yeah.
that all?
Yeah, it was something like 38. It was very sad. He was dumber than a rock too. Little guy who just was built like a tank, though. I mean, he could hit the long ball.
He had 56 home runs that year.
Yeah, he was something else. But he played during the Depression era in the 30s. Yeah.
Yep.
God, he was a great player. I've seen pictures of him, but it's funny. I guess he loved to drink. In those days, baseball players just loved to drink. Well, they still do today, but especially in those days. I think really they don't drink nearly as much today because they can't afford to. But,
He only had a couple of good years.
yeah, those years he had were just off the charts. Yeah.
Of course, with those kind of RBIs, you still have a lot of players in front of you.
Can you imagine that? 191 RBIs. That's
One,
what
and they played 154 games.
Yeah,
back
so
then,
he's getting an average one and a half a game almost.
But yeah, that also means you have to have some good players in front of
Oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been the gas house.
Well, he played with the Cubs.
The
I think.
Cubs. The
Yeah.
gas house gang is the Cardinals.
Cardinals right after that. Yeah. Cubs were pretty good though at the time he played.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were in the World Series one year.
Well, in that
Just
St.
the
Louis
Eagles.
market,
Yeah.
they're telling me that in the pecking order,
Cardinals, right?
just by
Oh,
far
sure.
through the roof.
Baseball town, great baseball town.
Cardinals way up here. Then
The Rams.
it's the Blues.
Oh, that's right, the
Oh,
Blues.
really?
Yeah,
It's
because
the
the Rams are
Blues.
relatively new. The Blues have been around since '66.
Then it's the Rams.
Then it's the Rams. Yeah, I'm surprised
Well,
they don't have
they
a.
won.
It's too bad they don't have an NBA team there. They did have the St. Louis Hawks, but they never supported them, and they were a good team. They won a championship there.
So they went right down to
Went to Atlanta. You know why? I didn't ask. We could have talked to Al about this. The Warriors upset them in the playoffs the year that they won the division. They upset them in the playoffs, and Van Kerner, the owner, was so pissed off because people didn't show up for the regular season. He said, "Fuck it, I'm moving out of here," and he left. And
Moved to Atlanta.
if they had won the championship or at least gotten the finals that year, they probably never would have moved. That team had Lenny Wilkins and Zelmo Beatty and Bill Bridges and Jumpin' Joe Caldwell. It was a great team.
At least if you have a good fan base,
Yeah. Well, the Warriors only averaged 5,000 a game until they won the championship. But in those days, you didn't have to have big crowds because you only paid your top player maybe 50,000. Well, I think Rick Barry was making 60,000 his second year here in the league. And that was a lot of money in those days.
70.
Well, his last year he was making
Didn't
60.
Barry leave, play in the ABA, and come back?
He went to play in the ABA. They prevented him for a year from playing with the Oakland Oaks. His father-in-law was the coach there, and Franklin Muley got a court injunction. Then he left. He went to they moved to Washington. Then he was traded. Then they moved to Virginia, and he got on Sports Illustrated's cover. And he said, "I don't want my son having a Southern accent." Growing up with a son, so they traded him to the New Jersey Nets or the New York Nets, I guess they were calling it, and he loved it because that's his home area, and he wanted to stay there. But he had signed a provisional contract in the interim with the Warriors. Franklin Muley forced him to come back to the Bay Area, and then he left a second time and moved, and that's why Franklin never retired his jersey. His jersey had to be retired by the
next owner.
Yeah, by the next owner. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Generosity.
Franklin never forgave him for that. Yeah, Rick was his own guy. He did, he pissed a lot of people off, but he, did what was good for Rick.
Great player, though.
Great player. I got to work with him for 6 years. Good. Actually, he's a really good guy.
And so his son doesn't have a Southern accent, does he?
No. And his two sons have turned out to be pretty good commentators.
Yeah, they both played at De La Salle, right?
Yeah. Boy, what a team that must have been. Two future pro players. I guess Drew was the better of the two. He was the great three-point shooter.
Since we only have a couple of minutes here, and I've got a fun little thought for the day here. You won't have time to get into the antics. Then we'll save that for next time.
Okay.
Which,
Where are you going after this? You going home?
Yeah, probably. What?
Just if you had the time, you could just drop me off that first Mill Valley exit. Man, that'd be.
Oh yeah, no problem. How'd you get up here? How'd you get up here?
Wife dropped me off, but then she's we're down to one car today, so
Oh,
she's
no.
farming out the three guys.
Not a problem. I'll drop you off there.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Where in Mill Valley? Where do you live in Mill Valley?
I live by the Deuce.
Oh,
But-
okay.
But if you drop me off down on Blythedale, I can get home from there.
You sure?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't mind. not a big deal.
And next week we do one show, but the following week we do two.
2 shows, okay.
Okay.
Let's see here. You know what?
Oh, the spring break's going on, isn't it?
That's right. Spring break.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back one last time to Sports Econ 101.
You should never say one last
No,
time.
no, I don't mean
That
that.
scares
I mean,
me.
I mean for the day.
Don't scare me.
Don't scare us.
Yeah,
You know, we work in radio and broadcasting where you're
I know.
only as good as your last one.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Who are we? I'm Edward Brown. That's Bruce Bland. That's Bruce McGowan.
For now.
For now, yeah. Yeah, I think it fired. Okay.
Yeah. You're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Thank
No,
you.
no. Okay, Baseball Hall of Famers, that's what our trivia question is. This Chicago Cub outfielder was all muscle, had a size 18-inch neck, but only a size 6 shoe. I wonder if he lost his balance a lot. But he had 191 RBIs one year and 56 home runs.
That's Hack Wilson.
In 1930.
Size 6 shoe. My dog has a size 6 shoe.
Yeah.
That's a teeny shoe.
5'6", 190,
Wow.
200 pounds, just built like a little thing. And the sad thing was he drank himself to death. He literally died of alcoholism. It was very sad.
Yeah, and how old was he?
He was like 38, 39, maybe.
God, didn't even make it to 40. Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah, very
Jeez,
sad.
That's terrible. Okay,
Yeah.
tell you what, guys, here's our thoughts for the day. So Michael Jordan makes more money from Nike annually than all of the Nike workers in Malaysia combined.
Wow.
And I assume they're talking Malaysia because they probably make shoes in Malaysia.
Yeah.
right.
Pick some country
Sure.
where they don't make the shoes.
And they work hard for 5 cents an hour.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Okay, this is funny. Okay, and at the 1912 Olympics, a marathon runner quit and went home to Japan without telling officials and was considered a missing person in Sweden for 50 years. In
Wow.
1966, he was invited to complete the marathon. His time, 54 years, 8 months, 6 days, 5 hours, 32 minutes, and 20.379 seconds.
Wow.
Wow.
Was he literally? They were literally thought he had just disappeared. They didn't know what happened to him, and they didn't find out for a long time.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
funny.
he ran around the world. Take 50
Yeah.
years. All right, tune
That was
in.
the days before the internet. Nobody knew.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tune in, GPS.
Yeah.
Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective, giving away more free vacations for answering trivia questions, sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
All right.
I hope this comes